Hello there, I'm Moldy, and today I wasn't actually planning on making a video, and then I saw one of the best fan films I think I've ever seen from Star Wars, and it was only 3 minutes long. That's shorter than most music that comes out today. So I thought instead of just sitting around and doing a bit of behind the scenes work, I'm going to get to work this morning and build with you a mock based on the 212th, which is the fan film in question. And if you haven't seen it, I'll leave it on the end screen. Don't worry, I'm not going to spoil it in this video, but I want to recreate one of the first scenes that we see. There are some gunships that do approach onto this giant grey base plate, which instead of in typical Lego Star Wars mock fashion, adding a bunch of tiles to this base plate, I'm going to turn it around and try to work with the underside of the base plate because each of these holes are roughly the size of a bar element. And trust me when I say that this bar connection is not very strong at all. So for the next couple of minutes, blue tack is going to be our best friend. But what this allows us to do is rather than using these studs and having to put a bunch of the modified studs with the holes in them to get minifigures in action poses, we can use our superhero poses that come in, all of the CMFs and put them straight into the base of this base plate. And then our minifigures can really be positioned in some of the really cool ways we see in this fan film. As well as that, I'm going to be designing some custom 212 minifigures to look like the clone troopers that we see in the very short fan film, and add in like a few crates and my entire battle droid army. Hopefully I can do this fan film some justice. It honestly looks amazing. Stay to the end, make sure you watch it. I'll have it on the end screen for those of you that haven't seen it. But if you like Star Wars fan films, I'm sure this has been top of your recommendations for the last couple of days. And I'll probably also add, I've got a spare 212 helmet from some of the mocks that I've created, so I'll add this somewhere as well. The first technique that I really want to add to this, we see Commander Cody boosting himself up with his, it's not really a jetpack, it's a jump pack. And originally I was going to use the jump packs that we see in the Mandalore ambush battle pack on the Imperial Commandos, but the Commandos are in that display and I have no idea where I've put their jetpacks. They don't fit with the jetpack, so I've put them somewhere safe, and a little too safe because I've completely lost where they are. So we are going to be using a jetpack from this prototype Boba Fett minifigure, quite a valuable minifigure. I've actually added some custom arms from Firestore as well to make it look that much better, but the video is not about that. I have shown off my most expensive minifigures here before on the channel in a few videos and shorts if you are interested. But the technique we're going to be using for our Commander Cody minifigure is one that I saw first on Brickmate's YouTube channel. You can grab one of these backpacks with the one stud hole that looks something like this as opposed to the white blur I've just been showing you, and slot this up into the neck hole, slots up into or behind the jetpacks of regular minifigures, and this allows you to have some really cool like flame effects coming out of the bottom, especially if you're doing a mock with someone like Boba Fett. But because this is more of a jump pack than a jetpack, and there's not a lot coming out the back of this, I think we're just going to add like a translucent bar and try to position this at an angle to give Cody some height over the battlefield. To get that nice angle on it, so I've included a 1x1 dome element in, I think it's translucent brown as opposed to the more recent translucent black, and connected one of those superhero poses to the bottom. Now I haven't actually tried this out, so I don't know exactly how well it will work, but this is very similar to the brand new members monolith, which is designed to look like the old 16x16 plate we used last year. And it's the exact same pattern that I've used to get studs on the back of this base plate, using those 1x1 modified round tiles with a little pin element sticking out. So if you put a little bit of blue tack to the end, you don't want it to stick out too far. And I think Cody will look best slightly over to the left of this battlefield. We can push it in the hole on the back of the base plate, but I fear Cody might actually be a bit too heavy to lean forward, so we might have to have him come a bit more vertically up. You can see with Cody that he does stand up for a second, especially with the blue tack, but after a while, he begins to slowly fall forward. And actually, I thought it was going to work. You see what I mean? So I spent a long time working on this, but then decided to get onto the other custom 212 minifigures. And here we have our 212th Legion. You can see I kind of got the display to stand up on its own. We'll see if Cody can balance on the top of that in just a second. But we've got Commander Cody. I pulled his left arm out of the socket because I want to recreate a scene whilst he is jumping up with his jump pack of him absolutely taking down a B2 battle droid. Some of these shots are more than wallpaper worthy from this short film. We do have the little helmet as well. I've given it a viewfinder. I don't think any of the clones in this short, I haven't analysed it too much. I should probably go back and have a little look. I don't think any actually have a rangefinder attachment on their helmet. We then have 3 regs because you've got to have some regular clones to make the other ones look just as good. And speaking of just as good, my preferred Battlefront 2, the newer Battlefront 2 class, some heavies with these really cool blasters that have the shield on the front. We've got this airborne with the explosive, which is just showing off for the camera at this point. And then we also have this sniper, or this specialist, which you can see I've made it look like it's kneeling by sitting it down and then clipping off one of the legs. And I think that comes across really, really well. But now let's introduce the battle droids. So we've got 2 different types of droids that show up in this, and the B2s are kept to how we see them in the prequels and even throughout the Clone Wars, absolutely smashing through any B1s in their way. And if you're wondering how I get the position of the weapon on the B1 like I do, there you go. It's just equipped in the bent arm, the one with the clip round the same way on its side to make it look like it holds it, as we see plenty of times throughout the Clone Wars, which I think is superior to clipping it in the other hand. But we're not just using one of each, so I have used blue tack on all of these droids and all of the clones to make sure none of them fall over. The droids, for the first time in absolutely forever, usually these are a pain in the butt, they were actually the easiest to secure down. The pin technique wasn't really working too well, but I must say this entire MOC is looking really, really cool, and I'm actually able to pick it up without worrying about half of these droids absolutely crashing onto the floor, and because they are so fragile, ultimately breaking, which is actually quite a nice feeling. This definitely looks like a battlefield from the droid's perspective, but it's lacking a bit of detail, and it just feels like there should be a lot more on these clone sites. So I'm going to quickly whip up some giant crates to sit behind the specialist and a few other bits of debris and just a little bit of detail that we can add to this site, and then I'll show you the finished product. I don't want to go too over the top. The point of this mock was to show you what you can do with a few minifigures and a base plate. Like I've shown you before with my Ahsoka diorama from season 7 of Clone Wars, and I've done it a few other times as well. So I've sprinkled a few 1x1 spare parts, I guess, 1x1 slopes, 1x1 tiles, and 1x1 round tiles. And I think this mock is finally complete. So let's hit the lights and take a closer look. And for any of yous out there wanting to build a mock from your favorite scene, sometimes it really is just that simple. You can see how adding these little Lego pieces just on the back here, we're not overdoing it. We're not creating some smooth slopes and trying to make this look like an actual model. This is Lego. Appreciate the Lego bricks for what they can do. Just add in that one little piece here and there, breaks up the entire surface. You've got a few rocks on here, just like if you were making an actual model of this, putting some little clumps here and there just to give a little bit of texture. You don't want it to be too noisy. And these crates are just 6 2x4s with some tiles on top. You could even whack them on the side. You don't need the tiles on top, but I do find they are a nice finishing touch. And this cardboard box over here is what I use to store all of these dish elements, which you can see on the end of the heavy trooper blaster. We've got so many battle droids out here, and pause the video. I'll tell you what, I'll hover here real quick. Let me know if you can find the droid with the different colored head. There is also a pilot or a Kashyyyk droid in here, and there's a B1 battle droid with a backpack. So if you haven't found them already, come back, pause the video after you finish watching them, and let me know when you find all three down in the comments. We've got this droid running away over here. We've got a droid being blasted at the back. We've even got a few droids looking at this one all the way over here with their blaster not in the position that I showed you at the start of this or earlier on in this video. So I am mixing it up just a little bit, and an absolute graveyard of battle droids. Only one clone has fallen, which is kind of like the fan film. I mean, there's only 2 little groups of clones. There must be like 16 clones top, a small little group to lead this mission, and there were so many battle droids. They really made easy work of it. My favorite figure is this one right here from Filoni Clones 212 Airborne. I didn't pick up the newer version. This has 360-degree printing, and honestly, I cannot convince you to buy that enough. It's a really nice figure, and goes well with the rest of the model, which is created on the flip side of not a 48x48 base plate. I've actually trimmed this one down to fit inside an IKEA Kallax unit, so it's slightly thinner, which is why we didn't get our 4th droid on this bunch back here. You can see I've gone with 4s instead of 8s. I mean, you can really pick any number. As long as it's an even number, I think it will look really nice. But give it a go. Try 3, try 5, and see what you think about it. And let me know if you did enjoy this by dropping a like on the video and subscribing if you want to see more mocks. Sometimes we do put a little bit more effort in, but I just really like the 212 fan film. And like I said, this was not planned at all. This could have even been a live stream, which I look forward to doing in the future to get your live reactions and input so that we can improve this model or our future models as we are building them. So stick around for that. Don't forget, every Saturday, 7 p.m. UTC, we do go live here on the channel. And coming up this Saturday, we will be building Ahsoka Tano's duel on Peridia. So don't miss out. Stay tuned for more Lego Star Wars duels. I've said too much already, and may the bricks be with you always.